Hola clase. For today's video, we're going to wrap up a lot of little odds and ends that we have about command forms. In this video, we'll review how to make regular affirmative tu forms, although you can check the video about how to make them if you need a fuller explanation. We'll talk about how to make regular usted, ustedes forms and negative tu forms. Again, you can check the video on usted command forms if you'd like. And we're going to look at a Spanish accent rule that often comes into play when we're playing with command forms. Let's begin by reviewing very quickly how to make regular affirmative tu commands, and you can watch the video on tu commands if you'd like a fuller treatment. Briefly, we start with the tu form of the present tense and remove the s. It's pretty simple. So if I want to tell someone to go to sleep, I take duermes, chop off the s. Duerme, go to sleep. If I want to tell someone to eat, I'll take comes, chop off the s, and say come. If I want to tell someone to study, I'll take estudias and chop off the s, estudia. Okay, now negative tu commands are made the same way as usted command forms and ustedes. We start in one pretty weird place. We start with the present tense yo form and remove the o. And then we mess around with the opposite vowel. So for usted command, we just put on the opposite vowel. For ustedes, we add the opposite vowel plus n. And for a negative tu command, we take the opposite vowel and add an s. So if we're starting with pongo, I chop off the o. If I start with juego, I chop off the o. If then I want to say, don't put that there, no pongas. If I want to make it an usted form, no ponga. And if I want to make it an ustedes form, no pongan. Same thing with jugar. I'll add the opposite vowel. Except remember, there's a little sneaky thing that we know about G in Spanish. We need a silent U before an E, right? So, don't play. No juegues. Oh, I'm tired of being so negative. Let's say play. For usted, juegue. And for ustedes, jueguen. If this does not feel like review to you, then you should go back and look at the introductory video on command forms. Okay, now let's take a look at adding pronouns, direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, or reflexive pronouns to command forms. So direct object pronouns, indirect, or reflexive. When we're making affirmative commands, remember, affirmative adds the pronouns after and attaches them always, and sometimes they need an accent. So I'm going to take this sentence here, me levanto, I get up, and I want you to make it into an usted command. So get up. So remember that we start with a yo form. I have that here for you. And we need to do what? We need to remove the o. Now this me, we can't really use it for usted, so I'm going to make it go away. I'm going to change it into one of these guys instead. Here are our reflexive pronouns. Which is a good one for usted? Me, te, se, nos, or se. Se is the best choice, so I'm going to keep a hold of that. We have to do something down here too. We have to choose an ending, an opposite vowel ending. So we have to think, me levanto. What was the original infinitive? It was levantarse, that's an AR, and the opposite vowel would be an E, right? It would be from this pile. Now for usted, which is the best ending? Es, E, or en? The best ending is, for usted, E. And remember, affirmative always adds after and attaches, so let's go ahead and attach it. Levántese, get up. Now what about the accent? Here's one of the rules of writing accents in Spanish. You write an accent on a word if the stressed syllable is 3 or more places from the end of a word. And very often when we are adding pronouns and attaching them at the end of affirmatives, we wind up moving our stressed syllable far enough away that we have to write an accent. Let's look at some examples. Let's start first by asking ourselves, where is that stress, the tonic stress, the one that sounds a little bit louder? Where does that fall in a word? We'll start with a couple of English words. So, Mississippi. Mississippi. Which one sounds louder to you? It's the sip that has the tonic stress in English. How about Kentucky? Kentucky. Tuck. That has the tonic stress. If you really can't hear it after you've done the practice, come and see me and we'll work on it together. There are a couple of people who really just don't hear this quite as easily in English or in Spanish, and I can give you an additional trick to help you find where to write your accent. Okay, so patatas, patatas. Pa goes there, patatas. Chocolate, chocolate. Sometimes it helps if you say the word. Chocolate. La. How about sopa? Sopa. So. Elefante. Elefante. Pan. Teléfono. Teléfono. It's on the le. And if you notice, it's 3 syllables from the back. 1, 2, 3. That's why you'll see this word written with an accent in Spanish. Teléfono. How about the next word? Mexico. Mexico. It's here on the me, and you'll notice 1, 2, 3 syllables from the back. That's why you see this word written with an accent in Spanish. Let's try some more. Miércoles. Miércoles. It's right here. Mier. And 1, 2, 3 syllables from the end of the word. That's why miércoles has an accent. Levanta. Levanta. It's on the van. Now you'll see that I've made a command form that's reflexive, and I've added something to the end of levanta. I made levántate. Levántate. It's still on the van, except guess what? Now 1, 2, 3. Van is now farther away from the end of the word. It's now 3 syllables or more from the end, 3 in this case, so it gets an accent. We'll keep going. Calla. Calla. It's here, but the ca is not 3 or more spots from the end, no accent. Now I've added something to the end. I've made an affirmative tu command. Cállate, be quiet. And now the ca has been shifted over, so 1, 2, 3. It's 3 from the end, needs an accent written down. Cállate. How about cállese? This is an usted command. Cállese. Still on the ca, and 1, 2, 3. It's 3 from the end, I have to write an accent. Let's look at this one. Sirve, sirve. It's on the sir. So what I'll do when I add something at the end is I've shifted the sir over one spot. We still say it here, sir, but now it's 1, 2, 3 spots from the end of the word, and now I get to write an accent. When you have an accent on an I, you don't have to write the dot and the I. The accent obliterates the I. So with commands, affirmatives always add their pronouns after and attach them, and sometimes add an accent, but mercifully, negatives don't. They stay right in front of the verb where you need them to be, where you've always seen them to be in Spanish. It's not where we put them in English, but that's where they go in Spanish. So let's make a negative command out of this sentence, no me levanto. So let's make an usted command form just like we did earlier, but this time we'll make it negative and say, don't get up. Stay where you are, don't get up. So we begin by removing the O. We have to choose an appropriate replacement for the me, right? Because we're making an usted command, we can't use me anymore. So what would be a good replacement for that? It would be se, and we have to do the opposite vowel, and again we go back and say levantarse was the original infinitive, that's AR, so we need something from this vowel switching pile, and the best one for usted is an E, so no se levante, don't get up. Madre mía de mi alma, that is a lot of stuff. In fact, we've made a long enough video now that I'm going to put practice for you online. So check the course website, please. But this is what we need to remember in our little recap of now knowing a lot of stuff about command forms. Okay, first of all, making them. Negative tú and all usted and ustedes commands do the vowel switch. Affirmative tú commands are the weirdos. They do not do the vowel switch. When we're talking about pronouns, direct object pronouns, indirect object pronouns, and reflexive pronouns, affirmatives add them afterwards, and they very often add an accent. Negatives don't. They leave those little words in front of the verb where you expect them to be. Okay, please check the course website for some practice. Hasta la próxima clase. Adiós.